And so the two of them kind of go back and forth and dance for a little bit with regards to the idea of this stuff. Hi, Angie Lito. Is like the scene. Welcome in. Is that works, right? Like what's going on? And Thanos gives the response that you would expect him to give, right? I do not know. Kill almost every living thing. Hey, T Bird 43, how are you? Welcome in. Hey, Batman Nightwing 21. Hope you're having a good day. He says, I've given her everything, still, there is yet the only but I have brought you here to help me fill this thing. Only then will she come to me. Only then will she not. And the question of Thanos is, hey, Gambit 047, welcome in. How are you? The fallen. Now, here's a funny thing. The younger Thanos kind of scoffs at this idea, and he makes reference to a forgotten hill of Galactus. And that's true. In Marvel Comics, the fallen one was like the first. Hey, Gambit Ace 14. Welcome to the show. How's it going? And so basically, the following kind of rampage, things like that, it ultimately forced Galactus to lock him up, right? Literally, keep him locked away from the whole situation. And if he ever were to escape, he would lay waste to everything. Why did Galactus? Because the fallen one, and because the spirit. That's really what's this point. The important thing here is this. What Thanos says is the fallen one is here, and at its current speed, it will arrive tonight, shortly after the sun falls. Here's the funny thing. The fallen one is not the old hero of the Galactus. It's somebody else. And so what happens is the younger Thanos ends up traveling with Cosmic Ghost Rider when they go and feed basically what they call the doll. And that's when you get into the segment about. Hi, Peyton. 2013. Welcome in. How are you? What's going on? Right now, that's one of the interesting things about his character. In different iterations of the Incredible Hulk on the top, the Incredible Hulk, and different things like that, he has no qualms with consuming the superheroes if that's what it takes to survive. Old Man Logan, he was the exact same thing. Technically, in the end, he was the last living proof on Earth. But that story, that's 9 years. Father's on Vintage Card. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the show. How's your day going? Is the book just respect that? And you're actually not going to see him in the story for quite some time. Then so that what the identity of who Cosmic Ghost Rider is. Now, here's a funny thing. At the time this story came out, everybody was 100% sure that Cosmic Ghost Rider was Deadpool because Cosmic Ghost Rider had all the mannerisms of Deadpool. He's exactly what you would expect if Deadpool became the Ghost Rider. It's not Deadpool. Cosmic Ghost Rider was Frank Castle. By now, it's all known by everybody. But at the time, it was crazy when we got this revelation. It was mind blowing. It was like, holy cow. And so, what ends up happening is the younger Thanos basically stormed what's essentially the Church of Mistress Death, where King Thanos is currently praying, like kind of torturing, for lack of a better word. And what's cool about this is King Thanos considers this to be an incredibly holy place. So when young Thanos just shows up here and starts screaming, King Thanos pulls out the Twilight Sword of Surtur. Now, Surtur, as you guys know, is immensely powerful. So the fact that Thanos was able to kill him was mind-blowing. In Marvel Comics, you do get stories like that sometimes where you have two immensely powerful characters that would never meet, would end up encountering each other. We do not see Thanos fighting in Stone Surtur, unfortunately, but it will. But there have been stories where like Galactus invades the realm of Dormammu and defeats Dormammu, which was awesome. All the back videos that we covered that story too. Right, but the cool thing about this is it just really goes. Hi, Steelers fan. Welcome to the show. How's it going? The younger version of itself and this older version really lies in the way that they approach the concept of disrespect. Because King Thanos is still very much in love with disrespect and always trying to attain for affection. The younger Thanos has largely walked away from this. He always claims that he has, right? I'm no longer in love with her. I don't really care what she wants. Get a battery, yada, yada. But King Thanos calls the bluff, right? He's just like, I am you in the future. I know everything that you are thinking. I am what you become. So when you sit there and you tell me that you don't care about this stuff anymore, I know you're not telling the truth because I know exactly what you're thinking is wrong, right? it's one of these really, really cool bits of things that appear. But what happens is that Thanos asks, when was the last time that you saw this stuff? And King Thanos says, hundreds of years ago, thousands? I don't really recall time anymore. It was after I killed that wolf skin guy. What was his name? Aaron something. And Thanos is like, Adam Warlock? And the response to King Thanos is, yeah, maybe that's what it was. I'm not sure. But he says she was waiting for me after the battle, but she just stood there, not saying a word, as if she were waiting for something more. I didn't know what it was. It took me so long to see it. I gave her everything, my enemies, my allies, my children, everything, and yet she hasn't come to me. I'm not sure for the way that this was done works. Now there have been stories. I don't remember the exact comic book it was.
What's up, 741 Mike?
Why it is that he cannot love in the traditional sense, which is that he's lost, she's dead, and her role is much larger than to just like abscond with basically a evil version of Chris. Right? I mean, that's just not her thing, and it's just never ever going to happen. But what's interesting about that is Thanos was actually banished from the realm of the system. He is immortal, so she made it so he could never die. So essentially, she's just kind of like, I made it so we can never be together. And then the same time, I'm going to complain about the fact that we're not together. And it's just like, figure it out, girl. But that's the crazy thing. Is because in the midst of this, the fallen one rises on the scene. And that's when you end up learning that
Hey, Trash Man.
this whole guild of Galactus, it's the Silver Surfer. Now, here's the cool thing, because this is when you switch over to how all of this fits together. And you jump back to the Punisher. And what you learn is that if this attack on Earth, when Thanos basically killed all the superheroes alongside an army that he brought to Earth to assist in the invasion, that he obliterated everyone. They never even stood a chance.
What's up, Pork Supreme?
Basically, the last of the standing. He looked on as like and Doctor Strange and Iron Man were killed by this stuff. And so what he does is he says, I would give anything to punish Thanos. And in response to this, his soul is whisked away to the realm of Mephisto. And Mephisto asks, we can give him. Like, what would you be willing to give? And so basically, Frank Castle sells his soul to Mephisto. And as you guys know, this is what we talked about in the original Origin video did. Whenever you make a bargain with Mephisto, number one, the deck is always stacked against you. It's why guys like Six Strange will make bargains with Mephisto, but they'll find a way to do Mephisto while allowing Mephisto to believe that he has the upper hand. But what's always going to happen here, for any average Joe who doesn't know what they're doing, you're going to strike a deal. Mephisto is going to honor that deal with some kind of a caveat. And then when you die, you lose your soul. In this instance, Mephisto turned Punisher into the Ghost Rider and gave him all the power that he would need to defeat Thanos. The caveat here, he can never live. He's stuck on this planet. So until such a time as Thanos returns here, he's just going to be riding around a dead world, able to do basically nothing. But then, out of nowhere, Galactus appears. And when Galactus arrives on the scene, with basically his guts going out all over the place, he's calling for Reed Richards for aid. But Reed's nowhere to be found because he's dead. They were all destroyed by Thanos. And so Ghost Rider is the only one that's here. Because Galactus doesn't know what's going on, Ghost Rider explains it, right? Explains everything that we just covered with this massive battle. And so in response to this, Ghost Rider says, look, I'll make a deal with you, right? Make me your hero and put me up with some crazy cosmic powers, and together we can go and punish Thanos together. Now, one of the reasons why Frank Castle's mannerisms as a Ghost Rider are so different from what we normally see is because anywhere between hundreds to thousands of years have passed since like the ending of all the superheroes and this moment. So basically, he's just been given a great and so we're going I can see you, but you can consume this. And so, the Ghost Rider doesn't look how it happened. And that's when you get Cosmic Ghost Rider. Now, one of the things that goes on is like any kind of like a buddy cop story where you got to see Cosmic Ghost Rider and basically Galactus running around with each other. And that's because the story was written by Donny Cates, and for any number of reasons, because the story is truly told. It's because it was followed So for the whole people, but he never got a chance to really do anything beyond. So we have no clue anything about this. And what other thing is that ultimately better if it's like this as your first. Right? It's not right. Basically, so now it's a year later, what's this following?
Hey, Toad Comic Tracker.
It's like literally like you get one of the stuff like because I did this so and like that's the end of it. I can just immediately keep this. And so he Thanos seems Cosmic Ghost Rider as someone who's interested, or somebody who's increasing and gets involved at this piece of the system who is right here. And then following that, he switched on over to what's happening now, which is the fight between the server in Thanos along with present day Thanos and Cosmic Ghost Rider. And it is dope. Because what happens here is that with basically Cosmic Ghost Rider, remembering that he's a Punisher and is kind of doing his thing, he just shoots everybody with like health, like Hellfire bullets. He does this thing. But then Thanos tells him, like, this is the annihilation thing. We need something greater than that. And of course, Cosmic Ghost Rider unleashes the full totality of his Empire powers and obliterates the whole of the annihilation. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar with the annihilation point, we don't need to go too in depth for this. Suffice it to say, it comes from the negatives. Basically, there's numbers.
Usually, it's one or the other. Very few issues have they are.
That is it. And so,
We had somebody that's only collecting cover at one time, that's just Walnut and Betty. He was the one that told us, he was like, yeah, they only appear like 12 issues together on the cover.
Really?
Yeah.
It has been so.
Yeah. You think they'd be on almost every cover, but episodes.
Right? And he says, it was never that easy. He was never going to do that. And that's the thing I have
With the win.
Tell me, you would have done it. So,
Stones and Pebbles, number 41. Dino eating in the background.
Responsible Silver Surfer is.
Dino eating in the background. There you go.
The question back to Thanos, what we're working on says, becoming George, that Silver Surfer now has the hammer of coal. And that is just because he immediately goes to work on this guy. Now, one of the things about this is that the whole week's was this about like we never learned how Silver Surfer.
Rich got out. So Robert and Rick.
What's up, Imperious Rex? Hey, Dano Moonstar. How are you? What's up, War Comics? Welcome to the show. How's it going?
We have Cosmic Ghost Rider, both Thanos and the Silver Surfer. These are the only four beings left in existence. There are no more cosmic entities. There's no more penalties. There's nothing. In the entirety of the universe, these four are all that's left. And so what happens is that Silver Surfer lets Thanos have it. I mean, he unleashes on it. And it's amazing. It's not even close. In fact, he's going toe-to-toe with both of these guys at the same time. And even when you have Cosmic Ghost Rider who show up here, after Silver Surfer is seemingly just like, killed King Thanos, they're like,
What's up, Ollie1266? Welcome in.
Crushes this guy using the hammer, like just obliterates him, blows his head apart. But oh my god, this thing's done so, right? Like he got it. And so what happens is that when Silver turns to Thanos, Thanos says, you have no clue what you want to reach. You have no clue what you've done. And the Surfer is just like, I've been looking back the theory of Thanos for eons, child. I'm sure
And what was looking for the comics
the response of Thanos was like,
Rich got this one too.
and so when the Surfer asked, I said,
Oh yeah, they slide all over the place.
the Surfer turns around.
Goes to Dr. Greg, number 35.
It's just like 35 in this film, right? Oh, you know, this guy just emerges out of the ground, incredible, and he just like puts it to the Silver Surfer. Here's the funny thing: when I say he's a Silver Surfer, he dominates the book. He doesn't, because what you would expect to see.
What's up, Hoffy Zero? Welcome in. How you doing?
Silver Surfer chokes him out, like he just grabs him like, yo.
No, so it's goes down. Mass fire, mass fire. Mass fire running. There you go, my friend. Good job, Matt.
Nothing comes out of it.
What's up, at Kruger? welcome to the show.
Flintstones and Pebbles, number 41.
So, and as we
We had one earlier, there's another one, very, very similar shape, grade, everything.
How's everybody doing?
sort of in this almost
Fancy
drag state, and then Thanos and the last Thanos. Look at regular.
But so much they get French.
It's like, he's like, dude, let's enter this up. I was tired of this dancing. And the server said, and right now, you know, let us in this. The response on the side says, you know, no one is old King Thanos. It's a lot of things. It's just, that's the King Banner. It was so back, it's very like, so, and Jesus, you were on the spot. And so it was just like, wow, what I mean, that's the great things I ever had. It was so incredible. And so
For some of these runners down to like 1 or 2 issues,
what you stand on working together.
they might say,
Cut off the arm of the serpent so we can't lift the camera anymore.
What's up, Alfred Will? Hey, Ek Runner. Hey, Alfie Zero. Welcome in. How you doing?
It's free because you can't lift it.
I'm asking 50.
Like how this fight ends. If you're the one thing here, it's nothing in the story. Because what happens is that still there are looking out on all this death and destruction, and exactly the way that King Thanos prophesied, Mistress Death is there. She's watching her, and she's wearing a wedding dress. So it's like, wow, like this is really it, right? Like she is there to basically.
Do you want to make an offer?
And King Thanos is like shocked by it, like my lady came, and the response to Thanos and each asked, well, why not she stop? Why does she not come further?
Hey, Ghostface Killer 24. Welcome in.
He says, no, this is enough. No more.
Oh, okay.
I'm so tired of the games. I can only imagine how tired he is of it. What more do you want from me? And when Mistress Death is kind of shrugged, he says, why will you not relent? Speak. We have given you everything that you wanted. There is nothing left to kill. What more could you want? And that's what it dawned on Thanos. What it is that she's actually looking for. Because
What are you looking for?
her shrugging is you haven't figured it out yet. And when he does, he realizes I have to kill him. Right? Like I have to kill King Thanos. Because it's the only way to be with Mistress Death. She is of the realm of death. She has to exist. She has to find it. The only way to get her is to go there to where she is at, right? To her. And so because of that, this fight breaks out between the two of these guys. And it is
Okay.
knock down, drag out fight. Because he's not going to just run over a gun, right? And so as these guys go back and forth with each other, what's cool is the younger Thanos is overpowering his older self. Like it's literally crushing him. And it makes perfect sense. Because as long as King Thanos isn't using things that can power positive, and because they're focusing on what is in effect a bare knuckle fight, when it comes down to strength, speed, and resiliency, it's younger Thanos. Right now I know it's kind of strange because it said that as Thanos grew older, he became stand up bag. But what if they get to that is less about physical bagging boarding and it's really about the levels of power. 2 or 3 games like he provides now the people who is for me. So again, you should have now cosmic things like that that amplify your abilities. But
one cat to another. How about the top cat? Number 10. Cat. Number 10 from Charles.
But what is a combination of the other Thanos who says, I'm not going to do that. It's not going to happen, right? If what you want is to die, then you do it yourself. Because being Thanos starts getting enemies that Thanos come back and bring his fist. And that's what Thanos is just like, that's cool. You want to die, do it on your own.
Gotcha. Okay, man. Well, you do your thing. Thank you for stopping by at least and saying hi. Everyone else is just passing through, not saying nothing. So
I stopped. You know anything about talking books? Just finding a nice grade. You're impossible. So like, see like this, the bag might be dirty, the comic is nuts. And now, Hercules number 3, and Shark Copy.
So basically,
Most
what
of them
rest
there,
the
chips,
you know, was really until you
it's all over the place.
okay, response to the younger panels.
Slice of the wood.
That's not going to happen. Right?
He must not be number three.
We want to. It means that I have all the.
Oh,
I will not.
we have any more now?
When in the panel, I am passionate. I will.
All right, here's a short-lived series will star again, Amy.
I will embrace you one way or another. And when King Thanos has those laughing at the idea, what happens is that it's Mr. Steph coaches him. All
How's it going, Jan Angeles?
into the civil war, because this guaranteed future stops being a guaranteed future. Because Thanos never relies on Earth. He never kills all the superheroes. War and a speed. This future cannot exist. And so King Thanos simply just fades away. But at long last, he finally gets
the world, you bitch. Let's
gets to
go.
be this guy. With that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end.
Another
Hope you enjoyed it. You know, you think that in the comment section.
We are playing the rank packs, those are premium products, so cost a little bit more. You guys will see that.
Never in my life did I think I would utter the phrase "Blade kills the Marvel Universe," but that's what he's doing. He's killing everyone. So what this does
Yep.
is this initially opens up with a handful of different villains, if we want to call it that, slowly transforming, manifesting, and changing. This list is basically Darkstar, Dusk, Silhouette, Cloak, all of these different people who use Dark Force energy. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar with Dark Force, this is my comics. It hails from the Dark Force division. It's literally just pure darkness is all it is, right? So it's like black ink, basically flowing into all the universe. The reason why that matters is because what it's doing is it's encasing the Earth and blocking out the sun. But there's no rhyme or reason for why these guys are doing it. They just start doing it in response. Then with the Avengers responding as best they can, of course, Iron Man talks to Scarlet Witch and is like, can you imagine to fix this? This is one of those instances where the Scarlet Witch's power is relative to whoever's by the door. Because if this was like Scarlet Witch in House of Lion, she would just go, sure, snap her fingers and fix the problem. Yeah. Instead, her power is drastically reduced compared to where it was before. Because, not to be cynical, but that's what the story calls for. And so the result is that she can't really do anything to fix this. More so than that, the way that it's explained is it's like trying to keep an ocean from pouring into Earth through these different kind of portals, which is basically what these guys have turned into. And from there, what you do is you jump over to the Midnight Mission. And this requires a little bit of explanation. Because both of you guys who didn't see our videos covering Luke, which I highly suggest you watch, Jet McKay's run was fantastic. He's actually the guy writing this for right now. So Mark Spector, Moonlight from the Midnight Mission, is a kind of group where basically they would just help out individuals who needed them. So incidentally, we'll talk about that in this video. There was a particular thing that happened in the Moonlight run that actually goes over here. And it's one of the reasons why stuff is happening. But once they got to get here is Puncher's Moon. He's kind of like a replacement for Moon Knight, but not really, because Moon Knight's kind of back, but not really. He's still dead. It's alive at the same time. It's weird. Just don't worry about that. Just know that's why you see the Midnight Mission. We haven't really seen Midnight herself.
What's going on, Joshua? Hey, MK.
Vampires are showing up, so they don't really see it as like a major, huge issue outside or beyond anything they've seen before. But when things really start to go sideways is that all around the world, because this Dark Force energy is increasing the Earth itself, in Milan, Italy, in Lagos, Nigeria, and Calgary, Canada, that all these vampires are all just emerging out of the darkness and attacking every single person they see. So what you're looking at here is a full-on war between the vampires and the Earth. Don't worry, we'll get to Blade here in a second. One of the other things that happens is Dr. Doom basically starts activating all these fortifications around Latveria in order to keep Latveria safe from all the different vampires that are out there. And it's a combination of technology and magic. So using things like ultraviolet lights combined with just magical protections. Because a lot of people who do not read comics do not know that Dr. Doom is one of the most powerful practitioners of magic in the entirety of the Marvel Universe. But this is when Blade starts to come into play. Because one of the people who responds to what's going on is Miles Morales. And Miles, of course, being young and fun, that kind of thing. He's like, okay, so vampires. It's like, what would Blade do? And Blade chimes in, and he says, that's a good question. Things are looking bad, Spider-Man, but I've got a plan. And it's not just down to what I do. I've got something I need you to do. Now, here's the thing. Blade showing up to Miles Morales is not arbitrary here. The reason why I say that is because Blade has a daughter. Her name is Bloody. And really, her actual name is Blade. But what ended up happening is there was a crossover between Miles and Blade, where Miles, Rio, and Blade actually went up this kind of building with the vampires. And so it wasn't enough to like train Miles in the art precisely of how to kill the vampires. It was enough to give him like some arms and armament to know how to cope with this sort of thing. Also, with Marvel kind of teasing the idea that there might be some romantic potential between Blade's daughter and Miles Morales. Like, oh, Betty, man, if I'm Miles, I ain't hooking my horse to that carriage, right? You understand what I'm saying, right? Like, it's just, I would never do that in my life. But of course, the Avengers are responding to all of this as well. One of the things that I do want to point out here is that because of everything that's happened in Marvel Comics up to this point, including like the fall of the House of X and all that kind of stuff, this takes place immediately after that, like within a day or so of that happening. Marvel specifically laid that out in saying that the Avengers haven't really had a chance to regroup after like their massive battle, and so that's why even going into this fight, they all kind of feel exhausted. But one of the things that happens here is Sam Wilson, in observing all of this alongside the Vision and Wanda, is that Vision.
What's up, Danny? How are you? Welcome in.
Yeah, Dracula is currently unaccounted for. And the response to Sam Wilson is, that makes sense. This does not feel like Dracula. After all, the work he put into founding this vampire nation, he needs something like this.
If there's something I can help you find, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you.
But they're all kind of asking the question, that who's uniting all these vampires across the world to attack the superheroes? And that's when Blade chimes in, right? He's like, this is Blade. I'm on the run and have information we need to meet. Log on to my coordinates and tell.
Hey, Soupy, welcome in. If there's anything you need help finding, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you.
Of the Avengers and Marvel Comics, but of course, the Avengers respond. Right? They break away, they travel to Impossible City, but they're not too keen about it because while they're up there and teleporting the ship, everything is going nuts down there on Earth. But everything's about to go nuts here too, because as soon as this truck shows up,
AMC Frog, welcome in. How are you? Welcome in. If there's anything you need help with, if you want me to show you something, just ask. Let me know. What do you? So let me know.
A coming together of these vampires that are actually from a different dimension. Again, we'll go through Blood Pump more in future videos. We'll probably do it every Friday, right? And we'll just kind of explain all the stuff that goes on. But what you end up learning is that by whatever manner and whatever means, these different guys all have different kinds of powers. But as vampires, their core base is that they feed. But instead of just feeding on blood, they feed on superheroes and they feed on different types of powers. So one of them feeds on magic, another one feeds on thoughts, different things on those. They're a really, really adept and capable team. And when I say adept and capable, I mean these guys crush the Avengers. It's not even close, right? It's just absolutely insane. None of them have any real chance to take these guys out. Sam Wilson's taken out immediately because, of course, Sam Wilson. He's basically Captain America with nothing that makes Captain America Captain America. So he has like no super soldier serum. He can kind of fly, but like that's basically it. Vision's taken out using technology. Iron Man's entire armor is shut down. Thor's overpowered through sheer force and strength. Each one of these guys are neutralized with the greatest of ease. And so what goes on here is that in this moment, if they realize that they're all basically being overpowered.
Hey, Jack, welcome in. If there's anything you're looking for, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out, man.
To turn you into us. And one of the characters they're going after is specifically Sam Wilson. Because even though Sam Wilson is or isn't Captain America, depending on how you view Captain America in comic books, the fact is, the concept of.
Hey, what's up, Jack? Hey, Braveheart. Hey, Luke Smy. How are you?
Myself and everybody else, we lay out working cookies for Captain America, right? So that he can bring us freedom on July 4th. That's the thing that we do, guys. It's the thing we do here in America. For those of you guys who don't live in America. But the fact is, in all seriousness, He's a symbol to people. And so with the fall of Captain America comes the fall of America. That's what it symbolically represents. And so having him turn to their side will basically dishearten and demoralize any opposition that goes on out there from both the superhero community and the non-superhero community. And so with all these guys being defeated, Thor being taken out as well, Black Panther launches this last ditch attack, which is not really designed to defeat them. Everything instead, this is designed to give their most. Like it's designed to evacuate. Oh yeah, I have one more. Then we also say right, like you can't do that because the world's going to need someone. It's not that. This one of the reasons why Captain America is so significant is because is he the most powerful character ever? I mean, not really. Right? Like the Incredible Hulk could beat Captain America to death on his weakest. You know what I mean? There's any number of characters that can crush Captain America. It's what he stands for within the superhero community and the world as a whole. And so what it does is it allows basically all the other Avengers to teleport out outside of Black Panther. And so what we do is we jump to Doctor Strange. And this is where things get cool. Because what ends up happening is Stephen Strange and Clea, right? Clea being the on again, off again wife slash love interest of Doctor Strange, two of them are back together yet again. That what ends up happening here is they're looking over all these different spells, these different just magical incantations they can use in order to find a way to defeat the vampires. Because one of the coolest things about vampires in Marvel, you wouldn't really know this unless you read things like Midnight Suns, Doctor Strange's Secret Avengers from the 90s, anything related to Blade, right back in the 90s. That vampires are this really interesting concept in Marvel because they're innocent people who have been turned. And so on one hand, various people outside of Blade just kills and vampire and comes across it. But outside of hand, various people are trying to find a way to turn these turned humans back into normal humans. And on the other hand, it's like trying to keep the vampire forces at bay. And by and large, they just kind of stay in their corner over there. Talking about it once in a while, looking a little bit of habit. The full on result like this is kind of unheard of. And so all of these different spells that are being developed here, you have this conversation between Blade and Steven, where Blade says a spell to kill every vampire on Earth. That's a good thing like that. But you need the dark toy for that. And last I heard, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet
From from the '90s, I have the Image Tom McFarlane Crow from 2 to 10. It's a set. Would you be interested in that? It's just missing issue 1.
Says it's good to see you all together, and especially so on a day like today. What's happening? And what Blade says is a vampire upfront. What you knew that. We've all dealt with vampires before, so this is different. This time,
Sure, just give me a moment. Yep, right here. So it's issues 2 through 10 from Image. They're yeah, I have them taped together. If you're serious, I could show you. I mean, I got it at 100, but I could work with you on it. It usually goes for a lot, but I mean, I could cut down the price if you really want to make a deal.
what ends up happening is they track down the elite, and it was in effect like a law. No joke. These vampires were meeting in like a
Okay, just give me a moment.
not even lying, but they were in this hall. They were all having this meeting, and they were talking about how they were going to basically rise up, destroy the man. Like ends up killing this guy, and then all of a sudden,
I think what it was is that these were low printed. That's why they're marked up to that much. So yeah, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then this is 10. I don't know. You tell me. I have it priced at 100, but I mean, I gotta sell something. I gotta sell stuff.
Who knows how things are going to change over. And so where Doctor Strange and Peter hear this, it's just like, gee, what in the world is going on? Like,
Yeah, sure. I'll do 80. Here. All right. I'm gonna run it at 80. Okay.
empowered by divergent philosophies where theme on pain or ghost or magic. The blood button is a match for the Avengers, believe, or at least they were.
You're welcome. So that's for these books, 2 through 10.
Or like there's more important than ever.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
And so that's what Blade's kind of like.
Yeah, if there was a number one in here, it would be like $200 because number one is it's got that Tom McFarlane cover on it, and it's yeah, it's really it's pretty pricey book.
Just see what's true. It's like, I mean, I get you're on our side, man, but you just made me pull out of the damage. I don't know what to tell you. And Blade doesn't attack it. Instead,
Thank you, sir.
that's impressive, man. That's actually impressive. Like, I already knew the bond of Maximum would never pass the
I appreciate you. Is there anything else I can help you with?
I was sure of. And so it's really cool because Stephen Strange goes back to work and starts asking kind of endlessly, you mentioned a new leader for this structure. Who is this master?
Okay. Thank you, Jules Miami. I appreciate you.
Release the children of the night. It's simple that monsters who kill the Avengers.
Okay, sounds good, my buddy. Sounds good, my bro.
And like kills Doctor Strange on the spot, just like impales this guy. Because Blade officially starts killing everybody in the world.
All right.
Yes, why? Why is Blade doing this? Okay, so in the months and arguably years that are leading up to one month so far, what was the several stories and events that just kind of hit the groundwork for all of this? Of course, we talked about the structure, the Blade has been a leader of the structure. As far as the long-term Vampire Nation itself, for years and years in Marvel Comics, the Vampire Nation was less of a niche and more just a series of tribes, for lack of a better word, that existed around the world. Dracula was kind of like the unofficial leader in the sense that he was seen in photos and decided above the law. But who's about it? Dracula was like the symbolic figure of the Vampire Nation in else. Within a great series, and the Vampire Nation on how to what Dracula and Tyler the fall. The entirety of the Vampire Nation do one single icon, bringing everybody together. But that was where the issue of the structure came in. That the structure was kind of like radicals within the Vampire Nation itself. Right? They were not that dissimilar from like those members of the nationalists and then overthrew T'Challa and Storm and then cast them out of control. Any kind of revolutionary movement that seeks to overthrow the established order and replace it with their own and their own ideology. And so Dracula ultimately lost control of the Vampire Nation, essentially. And the idea is that Blade is the one that can actually lead the Vampire Nation into over the world. But the question is, why is Blade himself the one who's doing this? Within the first comics, one of the things that would happen was because the Vampire Nation became its own sovereign nation, that Blade was appointed by the United Nations as a kind of like sheriff to basically make sure that the Vampire Nation itself didn't extend beyond its borders and didn't do exactly its some attack against the world. Because the fear of the various governments of the world was that with the Vampire Nation consolidating themselves into a single territory, that much like the X-Men before, that the vampires would live in one. Right, so Blade was kind of the one to report back and different things from those things. But in Blade Volume 5, issue number 2, Blade ended up coming across this kind of human entity that I've got. And what ended up happening is Blade ended up freed Adama. The only way for Blade to seemingly defeat Adama was to consume some of Dracula's blood, which amplified his powers and abilities. The problem is that it seems to have driven him crazy. We don't know fully how it's affecting him, but Blade as a character kind of has a complicated history in that way. Originally, he was just a vampire, and that was it. Then he was built by the Immortals, and that gave him the ability to become the Vampire. So he knows how consuming the pure blood of Dracula would affect him. And seemingly it's true for else, and that's why he's somehow beloved. So again, we don't know everything that's going on. when you see him, but pretty soon he will. So what this does is this opens up a flashback from the Miles Morales for the blood. That what we talked about in the previous video, which was in the playlist, is playing effectively against the vampire nation and then use the variety of the other beings to essentially block out the vampires movie to run amok the earth. But before all of it started, he went and met with Miles, but we never actually found out. Instead, Miles just that guy was sleeping. We'll cover the rest of that over the course of this video. But this flashback tells us that initially Miles finding all these different empires out here before the war that goes on is he thinks one of them belongs to the beer. Now, the beer is the guy who basically English vampires and there's all kinds of different vampires. You have your vampires that are for the show, so like they just suck blood, they don't like to shine, just stick to their chest or their bones. But then you also have characters like Sully, who is a mutant that's been known, but she's also an energy vampire. She siphons the life energies out of warriors and so forth. What is going on? And so when Blade hears this from Miles, he knows that these vampires are out there are not the kind of vampire we can think of. But before I tell you what's going on, I have to change your perspective.
What's up, Rocky PJ Jones? Hey, NF7 mate. Hey, Jen Bree. Hey, Talos. Welcome in. How's it going, everybody? Anybody here? I got this recently. I don't know if anyone's in here. I think there's like one person in here. But yeah, this is signed by the writer, and then this was done. I don't know who Bane is, but yeah, it's the back of a turtle's. It's the back of a turtle.
So Miles being able to put it really solid because the first thing that happens here is what it is these grabs and a distraction from the house. But because of Miles, it has to go as well as the time you spend working a little bit. You're going to start it and start it and when he's walked into the main universe after Secret Wars, been here, he's very, very capable, right? So, like, one of the things you learn through the Parker is that getting inside of it is more than just Peter Parker does that, more than throws things that far. He went down from Spider-Man or the house or something. But when it comes to fighting the Umbrella, he was also for the most part by guessing that the since it's so fast for this villain that then up with. But with Blade, it doesn't work that way. But because Blade is so capable and it is so powerful, that he literally catches Miles almost every step of the way. But that's where the thing starts to go about. Because when Miles first tries to tackle his little blast, it should be enough to throw Blade off kilter or the very subdue him. Because Miles was hit by Blade, Miles is now a cell. And that's what Blade is able to stop Miles for what he's doing. But really stop Miles. Like, that's why he says, close here, but looks like that guy's trying to make a point. And it's working its way through your system. I know you, which means I can control you. Now, let's put that energy to better use here. Because after all, you're now a fellow creature of light. And I have need of yes. And that's what Miles says. Yes. And this does what Blade tells him to do. What this does is this jumps back to basically I guess the bubble to the end of the last video which is welcome part 2. Because with later this person is basically taking out the Avengers, which he did, right? Like took out the Avengers pretty much by himself. But now he has a boat now, or at least enough. He's got Thor, he's got Scarlet Witch, and he's got Black Panther. Black Panther is particularly important because there's something that was in the part of the blade that's powerful. He's finally got his citizens' medicines kind of back into the world. So basically, now that whoever's next, but to also chase after the now, we also kind of really mentioned in the previous video that we did, I kind of wanted to wait to really provide some clarity. But we Alex is the daughter of the Jessica by the blood. She was introduced in the actual level. And the way this played out is that in essence, Blade's blind girlfriend, everybody look at it, the blood, she don't got close to it. But the long and short of this is that Blake's daughter was born without any indication she was a man. She had inherited into her father's power. And so the way to explain the story is that Blake had started to Doctor Strange, and really it's complex. Doctor Strange had done with Rhea what he did with Parker in Random Day or what it was all it was to work with Jim. Basically, Doctor Strange wipes everybody's dollars and the same thing happens here. That he wipes everyone's dollars of yeah, worse than that, it's more like she cannot detect the as far as it more or less serves a sort of purpose. What this did is it allowed Blade to give his wife and his daughter to live some semblance of their life. But more recently, what Elba had done is they have launched a story for Stephen Strange for Doc, who's really the death of Doctor Strange. That allowed Clea to take over the role in this place. But with this death, also the deactivation of the stuff, which means now everybody became aware of Clea. And for the most part, it really just would led to Blade going down his daughter and then teaching her what she needs to know, once her power starts to manifest. She realized that given how capable she was and the fact that she was his daughter, people would comfort her for any number of reasons. And so it was just kind of an inborn way for Marvel to use the backstory that makes some makes sense and then go further from there. So that's when you also find out that
Well,
and previously they don't care about their television. It's kind of unrealistic. That's only one of the first video because they're playing in essentially taking over all the vampires of the world. Because the Dracula it was more like we are vampires of the or like two in really dark days, we can die, but the Blade was more like we're going to cover everything. And we're going to go over it. Now, Blade as you see him here is not really Blade, and I'll clarify that as we get further into it. It's not really going to have to get his own sacrifice, which most people figured out in the first episode. Yeah. The fact is, Dracula is now going to kill death because he realizes she's really the only person that can take the fight to Blade and essentially solve this. What's ironic is Brielle doesn't know her father is behind the whole thing. So that's pretty cool. But it's really interesting that she does find out. The way you end up doing is switching over to Miles Morales. And Miles actually ends up meeting up with Tigre at the end of Hunter's Moon, who of course are now kind of the leaders of the Midnight Initiative after the death of Moon Knight. And so because of that, they all decide to go see Doctor Strange. But the reason why they do this is because when it comes to vampires in Marvel comics, and really just the monster side of things, it's really just the Midnight Sun side of truth talk about Ghost Rider, Blade, all that kind of stuff. And Doctor Strange, it's not been a Doctor Strange thing since the 1990s or 40s. They're coming to that sense. Doctor Strange was Secret Defenders, but it makes no sense. The problem here is, as we saw in the last video, Doctor Strange was attacked by Blade, and he was turned into a bear. The beauty of this, and because of the nature of Stephen Strange, being there with his wife, Clea, what they're able to do is fulfill his spiritual form from his physical body. So his physical body is just running around like a vampire doing his vampire things and trying to tear up the whole house. But Doctor Strange himself can just appear in like a non-material form. So it's a cool way to keep Doctor Strange in the story. It happens all the time. Nobody does really with Doctor Strange, but every time we tackle in a book, his body was somehow destroyed and he's turned into a spirit and works around the world. But following that, the Avengers end up arriving on the scene, not to Doctor Strange's level, but basically to like Blade's blood clot, right? Which is kind of like Blade's anti-Avengers team, essentially. The whole reason why this fight takes place is to really just kind of give the Avengers some semblance of being able to marshal their forces, regather and jump right into the fight. Because again, like they were dominated with a quickness. And as soon as Blade's forces showed up on the scene, the Avengers were taken out like that. One thing that I do want to point out is you do not see Steve Rogers here. He is in a tire for the main thing. He's not doing anything beautiful. He's fighting against very well. It's kind of a focus story. It's just a good thing. This is one of those instances that you guys are wearing the comics where Marvel is focusing more on Sam Wilson being Captain America than Steve Rogers because of the cinematic universe. So that's why you see Sam Wilson here as Captain America instead of Steve Rogers. But basically, like, the Avengers are able to hold their own against these guys. Because one of the things today is that you have one member of the Black Hunter that's matched up by Vision. And one of these guys, like this particular member, is able to manipulate people's brain powers. And the Vision is technically a dream because brain powers are based on Superman's side of the So he's not that far removed you see the blue second is brain pattern. It's a frequency. Humans can't do that. Right? So it's like shields. So the body can never actually break through those shields.
What's up, Grant Fisher? Hey, Hawaiian rep. How are you? Hey, Brivas. Welcome in.
Actually, those guys, they would take blood vapor of the blood food and fire them up into the sky. And this is where things are a little deep. And the reason why I say that is because for those of you guys who read Secret Inc, the American Sleep Blog was a hydra agent, and basically took over the world. One of the things they did is Steve Rogers used Dark Force energy to encapsulate the entirety of the world and move them into the Dark Force dimension, basically into the kingdom of the world. The Dark Force energy and all the problems have been established in such a way to where there's no true means of escaping. Instead, what's happening in this story is the goal and the purpose of Dark Force energy is modified to where it's not that dissimilar from like Operation Dark Storm in the Matrix, where we block out the sun. That's effectively what happens here. So there's a change in how Dark Force energy is used.
Hey, CJ. Kenning Own Art. Hi, Manuel C. What's up, Manuel C? Good to see you.
But the kind of point is, what these vampires just taking above the sky, they're exposed to the sun. And of course, they die the way you expect it. And this kind of gives you a first deal of hit, right? Like it rattles. It's like, okay, cool. We've got a solid shot. And then at that point, you switch back to Miles Morales. It's running like Iron Man, Sam Wilson, the rest of the team, some kind of radical scene. Then the big issue with this is that immediately Miles activates that land because that was the role that he was supposed to play. That he was sent in by Blade as essentially an expert force. When all the superheroes gather together in one place, Miles can activate and Miles can attack. And it's a
What's up, Gary Comics? Welcome to the show. How are you?
for Doctor Strange and Korea, it would have worked. Everybody would have thought because it shows how capable Miles is. But the only reason why this, nobody else would have not been tracking Miles Morales, is there was a point where Miles and Blade and Blade's daughter teamed up against some vampires. So Blade learned very fast how capable Miles Morales is. And as the guy that nobody suspects, he's the perfect choice. And so again, like as soon as this guy makes his move and starts attacking everybody, immediately he activates the Crimson Band's Cigarette, which were enough to restrict Miles Morales. And then in turn, he's literally just like,
Hey, Mr. Dynamic. Welcome in. How are you?
shows Miles the truth. And while it's not enough to be sure,
Hey, Bimberlin. What's going on? Welcome in.
the effects of Blade control, which brings him back to his one self. And that's when Riel is getting the information that his father is the one behind all of this. Now, here's one of the interesting things is in a lot of ways it feels like with that revelation, this story is now less about Blade and more about his daughter. And I would say this kind of goes on. That perspective will shift. Why? I'm not entirely sure. If I'm a betting man, I would say that like putting a word nice as a daughter and like the MCU supposed to be the
Hey, Alba. Welcome. Welcome.
that's going to go down. But no real indication there. Of course, we know that he was thinking that one chick super hot back in the first place. Sorry, sweetheart. But it is one of those crazy moments, right? It's one of those cool little tidbits that we make it up here. The one thing is that it's my brain is the fact that so much pressure is put on her. Because now she's going to have to be the one to track her father down and kill her father, right? So it's like the whole Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader type of Star Wars. You're going to see a lot of like pop culture themes are being rolled in there to this particular story in a variety of different ways. But at the end of the day, what ends up happening is the groups basically start splitting off from each other and going after different facets of the vampire community in different ways. Seeking out the ethical champions, they can like come to get that flame, seeking out ways to attack world directly. But more so than that, what the Avengers really do is to kind of reassure the world.
What's going on, Antonio? Welcome in.
Right? So when it comes to Sam Wilson's character, it's happening everything honest.
How's it going, everybody?
From Ripper Maker Glenn, when we transition from Steve to Sam Wilson, I don't really care. I don't really matter to me. It's honestly up to Ripper and really haven't do that much. But when Venom comics themselves, that sort of real world backlash is recognized in the where there's literally a kind of a book called Not My Captain, which is what a lot of people are saying up there in the book. But the fact is, Sam Wilson was never really welcomed as the new Captain America, and just like the country as a whole. Right? they always saw just Steve Rogers as the only operator that was out there. And so he makes this kind of impassioned speech that spreads across the world, right? So like Halifax to the Pastor City, which is the transformers that was now taken over by Blade, now Mexico City, even within the confines of Asgard, where basically two nights teams, Latveria, Wakanda, or that was deciding on a kind of away from the region. It's this big speech where, in essence, Sam Wilson basically tells the world, we have faced multiple threats over and over and over. We faced like Symbiote job, we faced Prince Galactus.
I'm waiting for people to come in and start asking me to do things. I'm just showing off some stuff right now. Trying to, push a couple sales, and then when people start, coming in here and asking for more things, I'll start doing more things. Are you interested in doing something like a claim sale or something like that? Because when I was doing it the other day, I had someone literally just like buy like maybe 200 or 300 books in my $3 section, and then everyone else just kind of watched. So, hey Jay Robber, how are you? Hey Dirty Tech, what's going on?
What ended up happening is that when the Celestials initially showed up on Earth, and they basically created turtles and mutants, big monster, right? That initial creation was called the First Post. They also planned to use for mutants at some point. Once they came back with the second post, the deviants, who had basically taken over the world, kind of hacked the Celestials. The Celestials basically obliterated pretty much all the mutants from the process and initiated something called the Great Cataclysm, which was the sinking of.
Hey Laguna, how are you? Welcome in. Hi, Bridal Loaf. Hey, Maximus Bastion. Hey, Papa Rolls. How are you? Welcome in. How's it going? Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Which all of it is simply just saying this artifact that Blade is looking for within Wakanda has been around since before Wakanda was even a formed nation, since before anybody settled there, and before there was ever even the concept of a black thing. And of course, he successfully locates it. And what he ends up doing is dropping this artifact off in the middle of Central Park in New City. Because the idea is.
Hey, Papa Ruiz. Hey, Dustin Crops. Welcome in. How are you?
Now, what it is and what this thing is for is pretty dumb. So what this does is this picks up with what's basically the temple of the first blasphemy within the city of New York. And a little bit of a refresher for those of you guys who don't really remember everything that happened so far. The long and short of it is that for reasons that were not fully explained, but they will be in this particular video, Blade had effectively seized control of the vampire nation from Dracula and then took control of the Dark Force energy that existed on Mars. The Dark Force energy is literally a dimension of regardless like and so by seizing control of that, Blade went to the world in the Dark Force energy itself. Not that dissimilar from like when humanity locked out the sun in the Matrix, right? It's basically the same thing. Sun doesn't go through, and it allows vampires to just run amok throughout the world. Now, 99% of the tie-ins to this event were just other superheroes fighting vampires. None of those tie-ins were very interesting. But the thing I get clear is that with this newfound power, Blade had single-handedly taken out most everybody. The Avengers were on the boats, Thor was incapacitated, Black Panther's been captured, and so what we do is we switch over to Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange is currently in his spiritual form. The reason being because his physical body was turned against the vampire. So Clea pulled his spirit out of his body, and now it just runs around functioning as Doctor Strange. And they go to visit Doctor Doom. Now, here's the cool thing that goes on here, right? Victor Von Doom is the guy who goes in times like. And the reason for that is because you kind of get this sort of back and forth of history what's happening with Blade and Black Panther and those guys and what's happening with Doctor Who. Because they're both basically offering expositions. And so what you find out here is that Blade is not actually Blade. That Blade is possessed by the spirit of a named Bard. Now, here's the issue with this whole idea of Bardic. The most you get in this story is that Black Panther, who's still captured by Blade, albeit having been bitten, he's supposed to go to an empire to find out why he doesn't. that he asks Blade who he is, and Blade says that he's actually the very first. And the funny thing about this, I read this, I just read the first Black Panther, and I was like, what? They're making him a Black Panther? No, it's just the first of a Black Panther. Basically, like, I am the first vampire. And here's the cool thing. Here's why I say this is a bit of a problem. Because it's all right part, and that's but Barney actually had a really interesting history in Marvel comics. It goes back to a couple of different issues. Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme.
Hey, Valor 800, welcome to the show. What's up, Twig? How's it going?
That Barney was just a sorcerer. He started dabbling in what was effectively Elda, basically the Dark World, and dabbling in the powers of the This turned Barney into a vampire, and that was the very first that ever existed.
Hey, Dr. Tipper, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
Barney basically stepped down and handed the mantle over to Count Dracula. And then when Doctor Strange went to war against the vampire nation, it didn't go Doctor Strange first. It's basically decimated the ranks of the vampires. And it's why over the years in Marvel, if you've been reading that side, the vampire race is almost just kind of positive. Like this sort of Olympic food existence, and always talking about how great the race used to be at one point. And so with those two things combined here, what we're basically getting is the fact that Barney is seeking to return to health. But without an actual body, it's seeking control of the body of Blade. And that's what really Dr. Doom explains to everyone. When he says, some years ago, Barney hated although for Billy Blade as the host for the spirit of our spirit that they want to Constitution made him the ideal vessel. That's been failed, but it would appear that a second did not. Now, the first attempt that Dr. Doom is referring to is from Blade the Vampire comic. That was a comic back in 1994.
Welcome back, Ibra. What's going on? Hey, God Given. How are you? Welcome in.
This one person really don't really explain their name too much because they're really a lot to go on. Barney's not that dissimilar from the just out there always trying to find a new style. But the fact that Blade can walk around and the combination of Bible and then actually the ability to walk around.
I'm feeling pretty good. I just made a sale, so just trying to make some more sales. What about you? So something I can help you find, or are you looking for anything in particular?
And so in this conversation between Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, the Strange says like the skies are the weakness.
Oh, okay, that's cool. What about Pretty Fine Plus? Or Pretty Fine / Very Fine? Ha. Or Very Fine / Near Mint. Very Fine Plus.
The Dark Force energy as well. It was only a matter of time before this happened. People have trifled with the Dark Force dimension.
Only the above. Only the above. Almost a 9.2. There you go.
And it's a cool thing because it's true. The Dark Force dimension has been used by a variety of people who can then tap into it naturally and tap into it artificially. And people use it for a variety of purposes. It was only a matter of time before somebody came along and said,
oh, that's a Treasury edition. I think it's a Neil Adams book. Yeah, that's a pretty it's pretty cool. It's it enlarges the comic. You want me to grab it for you and show it? Hey, what's going on, Dave Smith? How are you? Oh, okay. Here, I'll show you. Just one sec. All right.
You guys don't know about Strange Academy. It's basically the Doctor Strange version of like Freedom Avengers.
So this is it. I'm asking 20 on this one. Pretty fair price. I'm open to offers. I have it bagged and boarded. So I bag and board my Treasury editions. Still have. I think I might have a couple of them left, but
sensitive against playing influences after other just been crushed, as well as Doctor Strange and Thea working in Doctor Doom, and small little stories here and there with folks just like vampires. You've also got Hunter's Moon and Tifa. The reason why they matter is that Tifa was not in to get a
it tells you to cut out this, and it creates like a 3D image. Thank God they didn't cut it out though. Like you just curve this, and then you create a frame out of this. Yeah, that crazy. Step 1: cut out frame, tabbed background, and Batman figure. Step 2: cut 5 slots in frame and in background dotted line. Insert background tabs into frame slots. Step 4: insert Batman figure, tab into background, and tab into top of frame. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I've gotten a bunch of these where they were badly damaged. That's probably the reason why, because kids would love to just, cut stuff out and, you know.
Something better. What better tool to open an Asgardian prison than an Asgardian portal? Because they brought the
Well, look at that. How cool is that? I think this is Irv Novick. Yeah, so the artists are here you got some Golden Age Batman with the Joker. That's pretty cool. That's been inspired so many images. So yeah, I got 20 on that. Yeah. And so what's going to happen following this is like Fortnite returns, right? Khonshu goes back to being the god of the moon that basically manipulates Moonlight, and it's just business as usual for Mark Spector's group. And so what you end up doing here is you switch back over to Blade himself. This is where things start to go sideways. But Blade, who again is now possessed by Marne, says, I was there in the point of Atlantis. I was there fighting the Dark Lord, putting its deep words to people for the very. So what do you think? You think it's very cool? You want to try to make a deal on it, or are you just checking it out? And again, the statement that's made by Black Panther here is, I don't understand. It's a weird thing for Black Panther to say. What's up, Money Shot Maker? How are you? To become a vampire, create the concept of the vampire. That was only the first step. The vampire was only my human form. And he says, no, I was destined for something more. I was destined to be the end of all things. And he says, help, I am in readiness. Come to me, Dark Force. Hey, Three Keys Comics. Dark Force energy into himself. And he says, do you see now? I am become one with the darkness and a entire dimension of darkness. I am become the dark that consumes light, the cold that consumes blood. I am become the other Treasury Batman books. You're having a hard time finding those. The unliving dark force. This is kind of a cool thing here because something Marvel has done is the answering question: what would happen if a person of incredible power seeks control of the entirety of the dimension of dark force energy and travel out into the universe? Would they take their own against cosmic beings? They have the ability to alter reality. Like that. The part of us is saying, no, that's ridiculous. That would never happen. But when it comes to something like dark force energy, it cannot be penetrated by just standard power. Why is that? Because they're so hard to find? By like Doctor Strange and those things. Now, as this is going to end the way that it does, I think it's fine on the base of that idea. So this whole statement by Marne could something just be this ego run away with sense. But what's cool is that in the midst of all this, the moon burns. Well, you got to start somewhere.
moon has been picked down. I'm sure people are going to be like, well, let's continue on. And like,
I remember when I bought my first comic book,
what you give is this.
it was like the world to me, man. Like when I bought my first comic book,
That is what I have always.
it wasn't just, opening it up, reading the story. It was like owning this little piece of property that was like it was mine. I was 7 years old in New York City, and I was just like, wow, I own a comic book. That makes me so cool. And now I have like 2 storage units full of comic books, like probably a couple 100,000 books.
Doing gently case for every time Mark Stucker died, he would just be resurrected by punch. And that was it.
Hi, Jennifer. Welcome in.
What we know is there are a finite number of times in which a Moon Knight will be resurrected by punch. When they're resurrected that final time, if they die, they join in armies of Khonshu's warriors in the afterlife. They just stay there, and like somebody else becomes a Moon. That's what's supposed to happen to Mark Spector when he dies.
Well, you can never forget that. You have to remember where it is you came from when you started doing this, because it won't mean anything to you in the end, if you can't remember where you started. Oh, really? What is that? What is an old age?
Another blade and goes to try to attack Barney himself. And he's being cast off by Dark Horseman. And it's just kind of like, okay, like, what are the world doing here? Like, if you believe that you can kill me like this, and it says, your blood is my own blood. Tell me, how can you basically define? And the response of Black Panther is, well, has been
18? 18's the new 21.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's been fighting my infection.
So what is it that you started collecting? Hey, the Fly in Dutchman.
Is established because we're going to see what happens next. What we're establishing here is the abilities of the heart-shaped bird to be transferred from one person to the next. Because what happens here is that when Barney says, again, no matter, or too little, and wildly too late, did you really think you can?
I mean, it also depends on how many of them got printed, and then how many of them are staying in people's collections as well. They could have printed a lot of them, but you may have a hard time finding them because they're not out in the open for sale. They might be in people's collections. Like a lot of Silver Age books are not. You don't see them often because they're in somebody's collection. Joker and the Mask, that's a set. That is so the set, I'm asking 50. They're all near mint or better. So you got all 4 issues. There's a Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, I believe, is in this as well.
Going to save the world here, the purpose of the Sorcerer Supreme, and that's where Stephen says he's right. That's the correct statement here. And so Stephen simply just says, well done, dude. You outmaneuvered me at last. Tell me, did you engineer this entire process just for this moment? Now, the thing that he's talking about here, right, is you kind of go through how, like, the Avengers facing all the guys.
Really? So you must have been buying them up, like, real fast.
It's not the first time that Doctor Doom has orchestrated an entire conflict for the sole purpose of attaining some measure of power. And I'm not talking about, Avengers and New Avengers going against Superman. Doctor Doom.
You there, Zombie King?
Once he realized the incursion was happening, he saw that as the lesser of 2 evils. The greater of those 2 evils was doing nothing to kill Ultron and allow your daughters to pull it. You know what that means? Doom War is the story that I'm talking about, where Dr. Doom orchestrated a coup d'etat in Wakanda by way of a nationalist uprising.
Anyway, yeah. Well, it took me a while. It actually took me like probably years to get up to a 3rd long box because I was really just buying a comic book a week for a long time because my mom was really just giving me like $1 for allowance growing up. By the time I got to filling up my first long box, it felt like a huge achievement just because I was only getting $1 a week for allowance. And then later on, I got back into it when I was like, I guess 16, 17 years old. And instead of just getting a comic a week, I ended up buying like 10 or 20 comics in a week sometimes and spending like maybe $50 or $60 because they were $3 cover price at the time. And I think that's how I got up to filling up my second or third long box. And by the time I turned 18, I stopped collecting for a while. I think I stopped collecting for 10 years because I was an alcoholic and I was getting caught up with my addiction. So I couldn't collect comic books while I was drinking and doing drugs. So it was taking up all my money. But then I got sober, and then it wasn't until I had 7 years sobriety I got back into comic books. So I think I was maybe 28, 29 years old when I did that. And not only was I collecting comic books, I started selling them at my local swap meet. And that was really cool. So yeah, that's my story when it comes to being a comic book collector. Everybody's got their story, right? Well, yeah, because you have no real concept of the way money really works when you're 7 years old. All you know is that the moment you have it in your hand, you feel like you got this power over everything. And it's really like all it was just for just simple entertainment every week. I never thought, hey, maybe if I save this, maybe I could do something else with it. But no, the moment I got it, I was like, time to go to the comic book shop and buy a comic book. Yeah, that's what I remember. How old are you now? I'm 40. I'm 41 now. So I think what is that like 20, 24 years I've been collecting, but it's been on and off. I took yeah, so it was like I think from uh I don't know, I was like no, it was 15 years old to maybe I don't know 18 years old. I took off and then I got back into it for a couple of years until I was 19 for a couple of years, and then because of my alcohol, yeah. So I took another 8 years off because I had no money. I was always spending it on drugs. I was trying to get high, so it was like I had no money for comics. You know, all my comic money was going to booze and smoking weed. Wasn't a lot though, but all of it was going to drugs. But eventually turned that all around, and then here I am today.
could involve his parents. And I
Yep.
with that being said, guys, whatever this was in, hopefully you enjoyed it.
It's like drugs are kind of like food, but drugs will get you fired. Will get you fired from a job. Drugs will get you thrown into jail. But drugs is something you ingest. So at the end of the day, drugs are, they're just like they're not there after you bought it. But with comic books, you buy a comic book, as long as it's in your physical possession, meaning that no one stole it from you or it didn't get incinerated in a fire, you still have that comic book. But with drugs and alcohol, that's all something you ingest. It'll come out either your urethra or your butthole. But comic books, as long as it doesn't get incinerated or it doesn't get stolen or lost in a or fucked up in a flood, I don't know. Then I mean, it's always gonna be there. You know, may not always stay in mint condition if you decide to not take proper care of it, but hey, whatever. Some people are just like that, and they can do whatever they want with their own comic books. But if I ever see you crumple up a Hulk 181, I will get in your face, and be like, bro, if you don't want that book, just give it to me.
And because it's floppy, it's going to end up failing disaster. Now, the crazy thing about this is that you have this.
Anyway,
One of the guys.
that's my spiel. That's my spiel. I mean, somebody did do a Facebook meme about, some Atlas book. Was it like Amazing Fantasy 14? He took a picture of his kid, like crumpling up the book and using it to, like, I don't know, make a collage out of it. But then I found out later it was a reprint. But he took a photograph of it. It looked like he actually took the book, and his kid just fucked it up. So I thought that was kind of funny because everyone's like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, it was kind of funny to see that because everybody's like, nobody really knew, you know. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I think, right? It's because these guys are kind of good relations with Reed. Kane doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of intentionally going after Victor Von Doom. The reason for that is
Well,
it's never been fully established.
it's kind of like, well, it kind of gets the community together. That's what it is. Without the community, I mean, I don't know what it is that there would be without it. It's like, I mean, it would just be a self-seeking free for all. Oh, I gotta feed the void. Buy all these comics to feed the void for myself, for my own selfish, self-centered, self-seeking needs. And tell you the truth, though, I mean, I was at the swap meet the other day going through a box, and then I went from another box, and then a guy came up, and the guy who came up to me asked me, "Hey, are you done looking through that box?" I was like, "Hey, you go ahead." I didn't say it, but I kind of nodded, and I'm like, "Go ahead, man." And he's like, "No, I'm good, I'm good." But you know who that guy was that I said that to? The guy who started PC Comics, Steve Shadis. He goes to that swap meet. And he did all those books like Twisted Tales and was it all those books from PC Comics. He started the company. He lives in San Diego because PC Comics stands for Pacific Comics, and Pacific Comics. I used to live in the neighborhood that PC Comics started, and that was Pacific Beach. You could go in a PC comic and look up the physical address of PC Comics where it was located, and it was in Pacific Beach. I believe it was off of Garnett Avenue or Grand Avenue, one or the other. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you could always like when they were around, you could write them a letter, which was dope. You know, and it's kind of cool because I think he was a writer, Steve Shadis. So if you go in your PC comic collection with Twisted Tales or whatever, you'll see his name. Ibra, you still here? I probably bored you to death. You probably fell asleep. Oh, okay. But the thing is that like you're not gonna be able to make friends anywhere if you can't, just let it go. They're just comics, you know. But we all got to make money, so that's the thing. And I know when I see a cheapskate when I see one. So, but my friend Steve, I'm not gonna try to hurt his reputation, but I know he's cheap. I tell him like, I got 2 storage units full of comics, and he's like, I'll give you $10 a box. I'm like, dude, no way. I mean, he's just I don't know what he's trying to do really, but that I told him, man, you gotta do way better than that. $10 a box.
Everybody's coming for this guy. And so where Doctor Doom is able to eventually get the upper hand on both me and Jack as well as Maverick, he had instructed the staff immediately issue a surrender, right? Immediately tell them we're surrendering here. Because the worst thing we can do is to actually face off against these forces, because what it does is it implies still.
Well, hold on a second here.
And I'll be damned if anybody's going to come to Liberia and thinking, who's going to take me alive? I mean, it's that kind of thing, right? And so ultimately, he ends up basically just surrendering to various forces that show up here. Now, once he's actually brought in a combination of different things. The first two are Silver Sable and Amy Chen. Now, these two are particularly important, but only in certain circles in Marvel Comics. So Silver Sable runs a group called the Wildcat, which is one part information brokering and one part mercenary. So they are guys that basically travel the world. They pick up people who are supposed to be picked up by various government agencies or corporations or what have you. But because Silver Sable is networked with many different organizations out there, she's basically a person tied into a ton of information. So even if she's not necessarily coming after you, if somebody else is coming after you, they can actually hit up Silver Sable. And if they're able to offer the right price, she'll give them the information that they need. The other person that's brought here is Dr. Stephen Strange. Now, the reason why Stephen Strange is here is one, because this story takes place before he died. And two, because as most people who are familiar with Dr. Doom and Marvel Comics know, Dr. Doom and Dr. Strange have a very strong history together. The most notable instance of the two of them working together was when they traveled to basically the land of Mephisto, they found a tunnel in the story Triumph and Torment in order to free Dr. Doom's
Who who's this what's new to you?
But Doctor Doom's various mystical abilities are enough that they can match the powers of Doctor Doom. So everyone tries some crazy, Jedi mind trick mysticism stuff. Doctor Doom would be there to basically bring it to end. But as we know, Doctor Doom has no real intention of doing that. Now, the irony behind all this is the important thing to understand. Based on the visions that Doctor Doom's been getting, which he doesn't really know the words of it.
What's I go to the swap meet about 3 times a week. I've been going for since May because I can't afford to go to bigger shows this year because I decided to move and become a stealth camper. So it's kind of expensive when you're trying to figure out how to live that way. But the whole process of being a stealth camper has been very interesting.
And it would be the most helpful order for me to conquer. And so that's kind of the ongoing theme. Like, King the Conqueror will appear more over the course of the story. And really, if anything, he kind of shows up. I mean, Doctor Doom does fight it a couple times, but he shows up more often than not in order to help you because he's like, the things that you're going to do are basically going to make the earth better by you. But it's also going to make the earth easier. And it makes it easier for you to help. Like, here's some stuff that help you because it's helping you and helping myself. Right? That's really not what he does for a good chunk of the story. And that's hilarious. The fact that he shows up, it's like, but one of the things that being said is, okay, if this future is true, and you're not just a business guy having, then free. Right? Like, if you want to be able to accomplish your future, he tells us.
Hey, so did you want to try to make a deal on something, or
If they sabotage,
trying to move some of these sets I got?
now, you can't totally ask yourself, why don't they just teleport out of it? The reality is when you're dealing with all the places basket works, right? If can basically destroy or sabotage defense, it's because in looking over all the different timelines, it's the only one where they successfully escape. That's kind of the undercurrent of Oprah, which is why the king does everything he does for a particular reason. But the reality is that once this is done, basically he teleports away, and Dr. James has
Oh, V for Vendetta. It's a set. It's issues 1 through 10. I have it priced at 120, but I think that's priced too high. So I'm open to offers. I'm probably gonna lower the price on it because yeah, they're not all mint condition. They're pretty decent shape. They're some of them are a lot of them are in mint condition, but I noticed not all of them are in mint condition. But remember that movie V for Vendetta? It was a movie I think with Keira Knightley. Oh no, it was with Natalie Portman. Yeah. So that's what they based it off of. That's the comic it was based off of. Um, it's by Alan Moore. So he's kind of like up there with Frank Miller when it comes to being a comic book creator. But Frank Miller also does art as well. He's not just a writer. But yeah, I'm definitely open to any kind of offer on those books. You tell me what you want to do, my man.
This person is one that like kind of shares the number one spot. He is the smartest person in our universe, but is also immensely powerful enough that they can stand toe to toe with God. And so what you end up having is
Like I said, I'm just trying to make some sales, you know.
basically traveling to Cornell and meeting with kind of
Hey, Rumble B50, how are you?
as a person that can actually capture God. Now, a lot of people are going to
Oh, okay.
is it that like Marvel is on the same level as Doctor Doom? Is this just something you're making?
What issues are you trying to get?
What's important to Marvel is meeting with Kirby, and at that point, Marvel's like, okay, so Reed Richards is trying to take it seriously.
There's 10 issues in the run.
You're the next best choice. We're just kind of
What do you mean? What do you mean the better ones? Is it like you're looking for certain numbers,
especially since he's without this power.
or you're just looking to upgrade the copies that you got? They're pretty nice copies.
What that means
I got them from somebody's collection, and he basically just left them in the box. Then all this time in like a storage unit.
intelligence to its strength to its powers and so on, Reed has basically established that Blue Marvel is as intelligent and capable as Doctor Doom. What this means is that Blue Marvel shares the number one spot as the smartest person in the world with Reed Richards, Doctor Doom, and Valeria Richards. Right? It's a really cool moment. This is one of those things that you're probably going to see people referencing when other folks ask the question, where does Blue Marvel reside in terms of intelligence transfer? And so following this, what you end up doing is picking back up with Doom while he's traveling with Morgan Le Fay, and they travel to meet a guy called the Witness. Now, this is the one and only
I have let's see.
the idea behind this guy is he can basically look into the eyes of another person and then see exactly what they're going to get. What the Witness says is that Dr. Doom is going to die, and it's the saddest day on Earth. It's absolutely beautiful. But we don't really find out exactly how this death happens. But what it does is it's kind of fall in line with the vision that Dr. Doom is having. When he becomes this person that literally saves the world, then it would be a tragic and sad day because the world would have lost somebody significant.
I got issues 2 and I got issues 9.
And he actually is vaccinated. And the first thing takes him out is another. This taskmaster, postmaster. Like, this story is amazing. Now, again, in this moment, when it's happening, it's not what you do. It's I don't think it's the end of the dead. He brings something else. He brings something
I got these 2 issues.
it's happening there.
They're pretty nice.
Which I gotta tell you guys, it's probably the
I got these at $5 each. So this is number 9. And then this is issue 2.
It kind of astounds me, but this looks oh my god, like it looks so weak. But what's really happening is Dr. Doom comes face to face with Mephisto. So the thing about this is Dr. Doom tells him right after that, I'm not supposed to be here. And the response to Mephisto is, that's what they all say. But I'm glad to have your soul now and forever. And Dr. Doom immediately attacks Mephisto. Now, here's the thing to understand about Mephisto, right? This guy is a misnomer when it comes to how powerful Mephisto is. With Mephisto himself, he is at the peak of his power when he's in his own realm. When he's not in his
So I'll let you have both of these for 10, or you can make me an offer. I don't know if those are what you want, but I mean, number 1,
and so what kind of goes on here is a bit of Dr.
I thought I had a issue of number 1. I wonder what happened to it.
That was here is really kind of the background of what's place is that you have been even for what area where doctors is looking at thought. What we have next to it is a place called Safari. And Safari has kind of been a war-zone place for quite some time. Only recently have actually established any measure of an organized government. And so what's going on here is that Safari is actually organizing.
Maybe it's here. Hold on.
Trying to counter that area while Dr. Doom is not there. So that's an important point to keep in mind.
Nope. Not here either.
But we still talk about it at the end because it does become incredibly important at the end of it. But the thing about
Anyway,
focusing on it right now, what they're just so if you put a Dr. Doom,
I was really hoping to sell it as a set, but the number 1 is not mint.
here's the thing. Valeria is hero.
Thought I had another number 1. I think I sold it already.
No, we're not talking about Valeria Richard.
Yeah,
Right, that's weird and creepy.
I think I sold it. Sorry.
Valeria is a character who's extremely old school and Marvel. In fact, all the way back to Marvel figure number. Valeria was the person who looked the same stamp that Dr. Doom did. And people look at him. They were basically, they kind of fell in love as teenagers and when they might go. But as Dr. Doom became consumed by victims in power,
Number 2.
she just didn't want to be a part of that life. And as a result of that, she eventually fled.
I'll let you have both of them for.
He was going to leave all that madness.
Yeah.
He wanted was her love and her life. And so she ultimately got into what was really going on. And probably one of the most just amazing stories that Lockridge ever wrote in the Fantastic Four back in Volume 3, back in 2003. The idea here is that what Dr. Doom does is he actually tricked her and he effectively sold her soul behind her back so that he could attain mystical honor, right? And power. And so when that happened, her soul was sent to down to Mephisto. It was a pretty shady thing to do. And that's why Mephisto made this claim. If you can convince the only one in the world who ever loved you, that you betrayed her, that you deserve life, then I will give it to you.
Hey, Marshall 13. Welcome in.
Tries to do it. And he even tries to rationalize it. I needed that because I'm going to make the world a better place. I'm going to make the world a way more interesting place. Your soul, like eternal damnation for you. That was a sacrifice I was willing to make.
Hey, Willie 808. What's going on?
The reality here is he's not really apologetic for it. And so in spewing all this stuff about everything he did, suddenly you end up having Valeria that transforms into a human, really into like Mephisto, who's kind of been impersonating her. And it's like really tormenting Dr. Doom. It's like, I see this life that you saved, Dr. Doom. I see how you saved everything and so on.
So yeah, Ibra, I can run both of them for you. You want? You know what? I'll run both of them for you for $8. How about that? I gotta eat. I gotta have lunch today. So
And you're never going to be able to attain it.
I'll give you a couple bucks off. Oh, all right. Okay, I tried.
It's just nothing here. And it's like, this fight's over, right? People return to it like Mephisto. Now, here's the thing. Even Mephisto himself, regardless of any level of power he has, is not stupid enough to fight his death. She's the literal living embodiment of death. All she has to do is will it, and Mephisto ceases to exist. That's it. I mean, that's really what you're talking about here. So not even he is stupid enough to invoke for hire. And the funny thing about this is that where Doctor Doom asks, what, like,
Well, anyway, are you broke, dude? Or are you just trying to have a friendly conversation? Because I gotta make sales, man. I gotta make sales. If I gotta eat, I gotta eat. It costs money to eat, you know. So yeah, sure. It's about that time. About that time.
That given his current circumstance, it's highly unlikely that Dr. Doom will be able to overpower Adam Shear and basically keep him from being arrested, right? So that's why he literally sends him flying in the moments to sort of get him out of the way. At that point, yet again, King the Conqueror pops up. King the Conqueror appears. And it's one of those things which kind of information book, right? At that point, Dr. Doom's like, okay, King, I need you to rattle the brain. I need you to tell me what timeline there are. So I was successfully built in this moment here and now. Not 5 days ago, right? Not 50 minutes ago. In this moment right now. I can't even know who was it. So, and the response of King is he was Taskmaster. And he was hired by Advanced Ideas Hints. And so what literally ends up happening here is Dr. Doom finds the base of Advanced Ideas Hints, right? He literally breaks in, he steals their weapon, and starts shooting the place up. He kills everyone, right? Like every system they have, they all stop. Now, here's the thing. I have previously stated that Dr. Doom, without his power, is basically useless. I was wrong. When I was 100% wrong. Unlike most people on the internet, I can admit when I'm wrong, when I think I'm wrong. Unfortunately, I never think I'm wrong. And just kidding. But here's one other thing, right? I never really considered Dr. Doom to be capable of being on the armor. This dude's a beast, man.
What's up, Yarl K? How are you?
Biggest gun I've ever seen, killing everyone he sees, like just overpowering them all. He duplicates himself several times over, and all those different forces, like all the different forces of himself, start attacking all these different forces. So recently, his power is pretty great. But at the end of the day, it comes down to him and Pacific. Now, this is when you really get to see what Doctor Doom was capable of. I never believed he was good when they came to hand-to-hand combat. Mostly because you never really see him doing hand-to-hand combat. It's always like, our Dr. Nero, the magical spells, and just badass all over the place. That's usually all you ever see. But seeing him facing off against Taskmaster like this and overcoming his own masters is impressive as hell. Like, it's a pretty cool thing. Because remember, when you're fighting against Taskmaster, you're not just fighting Tony Master, you're fighting everyone Tony Masters has ever fought. Right? So you're fighting Captain America, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Wolverine, like all these different characters, because it's the world of this person's fighting style now. And depending on the circumstance, first with fighting Black Panther, he actually merged all those fighting styles into one. So where he would punch like Captain America, like with dots like Spider-Man, and he would kick like Deadpool. It was cool, man. It was one of the coolest things. Just some amazing moments that you see in Marvel Comics. And so once Doctor Doom gets the upper hand on Taskmaster, really, the Taskmaster's history will finish with Doctor Doom. The next thing he wants to know is who are you supposed to go after next, right? Because you literally asked him, who hired Advanced Packaging Mechanics? Right, that's what I want to know. Who hired them to take me out? Who hired you to take me out? And when he eventually won't give that explanation, the reality here is Dr. Doom's smart enough to know that if Taskmaster is going after Dr. Doom, the Taskmaster is also going after people associated with Dr. Doom. So that's when he's like, I want to know who this is. Who is it you're supposed to go after next? And that's when he says, it's Crusader, right? It's a woman named Crusader. And at that moment, Dr. Doom basically ends up realizing there's a much bigger thing going on here, and immediately goes after that chick, right? Immediately goes after. Now, the other thing that takes place here is kind of working his range up, right? Basically continuing to take out pass faster, as well as what's really the rest of the game I need to feel. Then by the arrival of Rhoda. Now, Rhoda doesn't really offer much in the way of challenge here for Dr.
Hi, Jennifer. Hey, Jers. Devil. Hey, ban me, please. Hey, JCO. What's up, Yarl? How are you? Welcome. Welcome, guys. Welcome in.
Rhoda is part of intelligentsia, which is the organization that's thought to do with his intelligence. If you're not familiar with that storyline, right now in my videos on Jonathan Fantastic Four, so I'll post a link to that video down in the playlist. But in the midst of all, we end up picking up on Liberty Island. Now, Liberty Island is a place that has these kind of weather stations that are being created or being used by this limited community. And the idea behind this is basically an attempt, even if only in a smaller localized space, to basically control weather. In normal comics, that kind of stuff happens all the time. It's not really a new thing. It's not really landmark. It's just something that Crystal Echo's going into to show what she's doing. But in the midst of all this, one of the things we learned is she is from Liberia. And we know this because there are discussions that take place between her and the people around her when they ask questions like, is Dr. Doom really an effective leader? Is the good thing?
Fuck yeah.
And she's like, understand, right? The law of sedition and rendition. Those individuals who speak ill of Liberia and its leader, especially Liberian citizens, will literally be lost in some kind of education. I don't want to be one of those guys, so I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing, right? That kind of a thing. It's kind of read into them in terms of how they function. The other part of this here is that when you do have Dr. Doom in a library, he's basically reading up on